Hey everyone, Harris Rubenstein here for Chat Sports. Joining us like he does every week is Brent Corobotiuc, the head risk manager at BetDSI. Brent, thank you for joining us again this week.
I appreciate you guys having me on, Harris.
All right, let's get right into it. Another great weekend of college football coming up, but a big rivalry takes center stage. It's Michigan State taking on Michigan. Now, I want to note one thing. We have had 10 straight covers in this matchup. Does that change how lines are made? I mean, Michigan was a 2-touchdown favorite last year, was a 24-point favorite a couple of years ago, yet this year the line is still kind of interesting. Does that affect how you make these lines?
No, I mean, you don't really look at, obviously you look at past performance in terms of how the game actually played out, but you kind of disregard how a certain team did against the spread, whether, the whoever's covering or not covering and stuff like that, especially when you're talking historical stuff, and especially once again, when we're talking about college football, when rosters change, teams change so much over the course of seasons. So you can't really, regard much in terms of how teams are covering or not covering. And again, when we put out, all of the numbers that we deal with, whether it's NFL or hockey or basketball, what have you, the whole idea is what's the number that we're going to have to move the least, which is going to balance action as best as possible. So, people always see games, wow, you guys came out with Michigan as a 6.5-point favorite, and, they won by 7. That was a really good line. And like the only, real test of whether a line is good is how balanced our action is.
Awesome, by the way, to clarify for the people at home, Michigan State has covered for 10 straight years. So Michigan and Michigan State have always tried to keep this matchup close. I'm excited to see, how things are going to go down in East Lansing this weekend. I want to hear your pick, though, in this game, Brent. Do you think it's going to go one way or the other?
Honestly, I mean, the number to me is right. I mean, I've got power rankings and such that I work with and come up with my own numbers. Obviously, I pay attention to what the market has to say. And, I don't want to, beat my chest at all, but I came out with 7 on this game. Another guy in house actually came 4.5. He thought this number was high. It did open 6.5 and got back up to the 7 where it is right now. So pretty much consistent 7 across the board, which 6.5 to 7 really isn't a whole lot of line movement. So the number's definitely doing the right thing in terms of the side. Taking a look at my bets in terms of the actual number of bets I've taken, is pretty much dead even as well. So I've got really good two-way action at this number 7. I haven't had to move at all. The total has dropped down quite a bit. We're sitting at 40.5, so I guess expecting a defensive battle. But the number just seems to be working right now. It's a good one for us. I've got slightly more bets on the over, so this number might tick up a little bit. But market wide looking out there, pretty much everyone is running the same number in terms of having Michigan favored on the road -7 and sitting on a low total, especially by college football standards. Sitting here at the same price around there's 41 or 40.5. I'm sitting at 41 simply because I got a little bit of over money.
Awesome. All right, let's take it to our next game now. Another great matchup. Oregon taking on Washington State. Now, one thing that needs to be noted that's very interesting about this upcoming game, Washington State is actually a home favorite against Oregon, who is a higher-ranked team. How did you guys come up with this line, and kind of how is this similar to the Colorado USC line that was similar with Colorado being a road underdog despite being ranked?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, when you look at the rankings, I mean, obviously they're an indication of how good teams are, et cetera. But once the teams step out on the field, the rankings don't mean anything. What matters is what's going to happen on the field. And again, the function of the line, or the intention of the line, because it never works perfectly, is that we set it out there on a price that's going to divide action 2 ways. You want to get as much money bet on team A as you do on team B. Now, you talk about, why is the line the way it is? And actually, we opened up lower. This number did open up at -2. So we had Washington State -2 at home in this one. As you mentioned, Oregon is the higher ranked team, but still home field is really quite big in college football, probably more so than NFL. I mean, home field is huge. There's certain places that just they're worth more than your standard 3 points in college football sometimes. Looking at my wager count here, though, I mean, I've even got more bets on Washington State as well. So I've got more bets on Washington State, and you've seen this line as well creep from the 2 that we opened at. So I mean, we thought we were being, we had a decent number up there. I thought this number was going to hang around 2, 1.5, 1 2-1 with Washington State being the home favorite there. Obviously, a lot of respect for Oregon, but this number's gone up simply because market wide, I guess we kind of didn't evaluate the home field, enough. You figure, when we open up Washington State -3, you're basically saying on a neutral field, this is a pick'em game, which to me, Oregon, as you mentioned, is ranked higher. So that's why I thought the 1.5 would have worked. But my bets are coming in Washington State ways, and across the board, if you look at the market, one from 2 to 3, pretty much solid across the board, with Washington State ticking up as the favorite. Now, in-house in terms of the money I've got, I'm not too far off. I mean, a count of 2 to 1 isn't really dramatic in terms of the money, but in a bet count, I think in this situation is kind of indicative of where the sharp money might be going.
All right, let's take it to our final game now here. So we've talked about Oregon, Washington State. We talked about the great rivalry game we have this weekend, Michigan State, Michigan. Another great ACC matchup that we have this weekend, NC State taking on Clemson. Now, NC State coming into this game at number 16, Clemson number 3. NC State's had a pretty good season so far, but they have not faced anyone that comes close to how good Clemson has been this year. So take me through how you came up with this line and why Clemson is such the favorite that it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we usually have no problem getting money on the top 4 teams, if you will. We picked some great games to talk about: the Michigan State game, Oregon, Washington, now this one. As you mentioned, some real good games on the board, and we came out. I mean, I think 17 was the right number coming out with it, and just kind of get a feel for, you don't want to obviously you don't want to go too high, but you don't want to be too low. What I kind of find interesting on this one is that Clemson, the line has ticked up just slightly. I mean, we did open 17. It's up to 17.5 and even to 18 at some places. But when I'm looking at my bets, my wager count, I've actually got more bets the other way on NC State. So it looks like the public is behind NC State. Yeah, so it's almost 3 to 1 as well. So that's kind of substantial. So when I see the number, going from 17 to 17.5 or 18, yet I've got a bet count heavy the other way, that usually indicates that perhaps there was some sharp money elsewhere in the market that came on Clemson. Now, I can only discuss what I took in-house here, and I haven't had sharp money on Clemson. So it could be somewhere else someone took sharp money on Clemson, but generally speaking, if my charts in terms of the bet counts, they're usually, pretty consistent with what's out there in the market. So I'm guessing that sharp money probably came in on Clemson. I don't know for that for a fact, but all I can say is the line's gone up when I'm getting more bets on the dog here.
Wow, Clemson is a 17.5-point favorite, mind you, people, with Clemson right now taking on NC State. The over-under is 56. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of a shootout. 2 great quarterbacks in college football right now, and Trevor Lawrence for Clemson and Ryan Finley for NC State. Let's go to some sharps picks, because you talked about it before. Where are the pros putting their money this weekend? Is there any specific games that you think that fans need to look out for?
Yeah, I'm just going to rattle through a few right now. Central Florida and East Carolina is one of the top ones. I've got Central Florida sharp money coming in at -21, currently -22. They're on the road. Quite a big favorite, too, now. I mean, one of the kind of, I guess, misconceptions out there is that sharps don't lay big numbers. But, sharps they come up with their own numbers, and if they find value in a number, if they think, Central Florida should be favored by 24.5 according to their own numbers, and they see 21 out there, they're going to grab it, and that's what they did in this case. So Central Florida -21 on the road at East Carolina was a sharp play. Moving down to Maryland and Iowa, perhaps no surprise that the under got sharp play here. We opened, I guess, you might say a little bit high. This one came in at under 50 where I got sharp money. We're sitting at 45 right now, so that's pretty substantial move. But I got public money going under as well, and sharp money on the under of this one. Another side to look at is the Arkansas game. Arkansas at home. This line's moved quite a bit as well. We're already up to -7 on Arkansas. I took sharp money here at -4. Wager count there is almost 3 to 1 favoring Arkansas. There was some, the quarterback there for Arkansas got upgraded, so that could be a big reason for the move. But the sharps grabbed that at -4. Arizona, another one. Arizona plus 10.5. They're at UCLA. That line's now done to, 9.5 is down to right now. I've got a wager count of 2 to 1 favoring UCLA. So I've got more bets on UCLA, yet the line is dropping. So that's usually what we look for in terms of a sharp and public split, with the public on UCLA and sharps here on Arizona. One more, with Washington in the Pac-12, another one to look at here, and another total as well. This total has dropped down from 51 to 49.5. That's Colorado at Washington. So sharp money on the under 51 there. And last one, it wouldn't be the show if we didn't talk about Nebraska. It seems every week we talk about Nebraska for the good, the bad, or the ugly that they are. Don't have a side play in this one. They are a 3.5-point home favorite to Minnesota. I've got a wager count favoring Nebraska, which is a bit of a surprise. But the under is where I got money on this one. Sharp money come on the under 56, and we're now at 54. This one's also worth noting because I have a wager count in terms of the number of bets, almost 3-1 favoring the over, yet the sharp money's on the under. So we always like, as a book, we love when we see the public going one way and the sharps going the other way, and this one sets up that way as well, Harris.
I got to tell you, Brent, my favorite line of the week, number 21, USF is a 34-point favorite at home against UConn. I love it. I love lines like that. If you guys want to put money down on any of these games this week, head to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. What does that mean? You deposit $100. BetDSI is going to give you $120 for free. You can bet so much and win so much money, you might not even have to touch your original deposit. So head to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120. Brent, thank you for joining us again this week.
Thank you.